Hi students, welcome to digital classes. As we know, so many metabolic activities run in organisms. Today we will discuss the important metabolic activity, photosynthesis. When we take food from plants and animals, that food enter into our body and generates energy. That energy useful to create the temperature in our body. The temperature, when it is present constantly in our body, the enzymes will work continuously without any interruption efficiently. When the enzymes work continuously, the metabolic activities run continuously and the organism survive in a biosphere. For that, basically what we need? We need food. So today we will learn how food is prepared and what type of nutrition methods, different mode of nutrition types, photosynthesis. Children, observe here, this animal eating grass. Here observe some of birds eating insects present in the soil along with plants and grass, and here the animal eating another animal, means the carnivore eating another carnivore. The process of providing or obtaining the food necessary for health and growth is called nutrition. Let us learn about different types of nutrition process in plants and animals. Children, observe this image. Here the plants obtaining solar energy and utilizing that solar energy and converting it into chemical energy and prepares food material. And also observe the image here, Spirogyra, which is also comes under plant kingdom, which also make its food material by trapping solar energy. And the next example, Chlamydomonas, it is also trap the solar energy and make its own food material. So the organism which are making their own food by trapping solar energy, there comes under, they call as autotrophs. For example, we can take plants, not only plants, we can take algae, blue-green algae and some of the photosynthetic bacteria also. So this mode of nutrition preparing by own is called autotrophic nutrition. Now see the deer, here observe the image of deer, it is eating plant as a food source. Here the camel also taking plant product as a food source. Now observe here the bird eating fish, not only fish, it also take plant products like seeds. Here the rat is eating some food material, the eagle eating the meat. So what I mean that according to the above images, different types of organisms will take different types of food material. These type of organism take plant as a food source, they are called as herbivores. See here the eagle, it is eating meat, means the animal is eating another animal, it comes under carnivorous. So now we can conclude the organism which are depending on other organism for food, they are called autotrophs. The mode of nutrition obtaining from other organism, we are calling it as heterotrophic nutrition. Children, now observe these organisms. Can you recall? Number of times when we are moving in an environment, we are seeing the mushrooms on a dung. See here the different types of worms, they are converting complex molecule into simple molecule. And the mushroom, it is a well known example which is going on dead materials, moist wood or on dung. This comes under fungi group which grow on dead and decaying material and send their root-like structures into the host and release chemicals, convert solid into liquid and absorbs into their body. This type of obtaining nutrition is called saprophytic nutrition, and these organisms called saprophytes. Depending on dead and decaying material and getting a nutrients called as saprophytes, and this type of nutrition is called saprophytic nutrition. Now let's discuss about photosynthesis process in autotrophs like plants. See here, the sunlight is falling on leaves. By trapping that sunlight, the plant is preparing its own food material. Now my question is, if you stand in a sunlight for 2 to 3 hours, can we prepare our food material? Obviously no. So what is the main difference behind that? The main difference is plant contain chlorophyll, green pigment. The animal cell does not contain the chlorophyll. So that is the main thing. What is the main thing? The photosynthesis process occur in plants especially which has chlorophyll. So plant cell has a chlorophyll in their body, animal cell does not have chlorophyll. That's why the plants are preparing its own food material. Let's see what are the factors are needed for the photosynthesis process. In that, first place goes to sunlight. Why? Because the light has energy called photons. To start any process, the initial energy is needed. That energy comes from sunlight. Next, the carbon dioxide which is available in the atmosphere, and next water available in the underground and it is taken by the roots, and next chlorophyll, it is a green pigment which is present in chloroplast which has the capacity of trapping solar energy. So these are the factors. What are the factors? Light, carbon dioxide, water and chlorophyll. Let us observe this picture here. The tree is there now. Now first it is taking sunlight. That sunlight fall on the tree, absorbed by chlorophyll, especially which are present in chloroplast. Next, the carbon dioxide which is present in atmosphere, it is enters into the leaf through the stomata. When sunlight is trapped, when CO2 is entered, with the help of water, the photosynthesis process completes and the oxygen is released. Now, where this process actually occurs, that is the main thing we have to focus. Simply we are saying the sunlight is falling on plant, CO2 absorbed and oxygen is released. It is not so easy. It is happened in every plant cell, in which the specialized structures called chloroplast. The chloroplast are oval shaped structures or spherical shaped. In that, bag like structures are present called thylakoids. In that thylakoids, the green pigment is located. Not only green pigments, different types of pigments, xanthophylls, carotenoids are also present. They also trap the solar energy. These green pigments trap the solar energy and convert it into chemical energy like ATP and NADPH. These NADPH and ATPs are transferred to stroma of chloroplast. There CO2 is available. By taking CO2, by utilizing this ATP and NADPH, starch is synthesized. Photosynthesis end products. The first end product is glucose. When the glucose is prepared in the chloroplast, it is transported to plant body and further enter into metabolic activities and prepares a starch and further proteins and fats also. Next important end product is oxygen. Oxygen is very essential for all living organisms. Why? Because when oxygen is present, this glucose oxidizes and gives energy. Without oxygen, the glucose is not oxidized and cannot yield energy. Now we can say this total process in the form of photosynthesis equation also. Carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight with the help of chlorophyll, glucose is synthesized. The glucose chemical formula is C6H12O6. Now H2O is released outside and oxygen also released outside. Now equation is not correct. Why? Because the substrates and product is not balanced. We should balance the equation. So how many carbon dioxide needed for the photosynthesis process means 6 molecule of CO2 is needed to complete photosynthesis process. And how many molecules of H2O is needed? 12 molecules of H2O is needed. So when simpler forms of CO2 and H2O combine together with the help of sunlight, glucose is prepared, and how many H2Os are released outside? 6, and 6 oxygen molecules. So now this equation is balanced. Without balance, if you write in an examination, it is not valid. So compulsory, when you are writing in an examination with the balance equation, we have to write. That is the main thing we have to remember. Now we have to discuss about the scientist who worked in background to get this equation. Lot of people worked to get this equation. Coming from Priestley, who discovered oxygen, John Ingenhousz given information that light also important for photosynthesis. T.W. Engelmann given information that red and blue lights are important for photosynthesis. Next, Julian Van Sachs discovered the chloroplast and the importance of chlorophyll in photosynthesis. And now at this point we have to thankful to Van Niel. Why? Because previously we are seeing the equation. That equation is proposed by the Van Niel. When he did the experiment on green and sulfur bacteria, instead of water he taken hydrogen sulfide and he observed at the last, instead of oxygen, sulfur is released. If he taken water, it should be oxygen will be released. So lastly he concluded carbon dioxide reduced to glucose and oxygen is released from the H2O. That is why we have to thank Van Niel for the discovery of this equation. Now let us see the definition of the photosynthesis. The green plants by taking simpler molecule like light, carbon dioxide, and converts into complex molecule like glucose. In this process oxygen is also releases. So conversion of solar energy into chemical energy by using this simpler molecules is called photosynthesis. Now let us discuss about importance of photosynthesis. See this activity by taking some example. Now see here, when sunlight is present, the plant synthesizes its food material, and the food which is present in a plant taken up by another animal, that is herbivores, and next this herbivores again eaten by the carnivores. This is one food chain in an ecosystem. Sunlight is converted into chemical energy and the mass of plant is increased, that is taken by another herbivore. You can take any example in the place of zebra, and now that is eaten by a lion. And next if you see here, the grass is there, now it is eaten by grasshopper, again it is eaten by frog, is eaten by the snake. Like this in ecosystem, if you combine all these food chains, we can see a food web. Children, observe here, all baseline is plants, corn plant or flowering plant, or it may be a grass plant. Everything is taken by the herbivores and next by carnivore and tertiary carnivore. So, if you observe here, the major source is the plant which prepare food by photosynthesis process. If there is no photosynthesis process and sunlight, the plant cannot synthesize the food material, and the survival of all organisms in a biosphere is a question mark. That is why among all metabolic activities, the photosynthesis is very important basic metabolic activity. The balance the equation. Now already we learned that the CO2 and the water combined together with the help of sunlight and chlorophyll, it becomes sugars in a dark reaction and oxygen is released. Now students, you have to do here, you have to balance the equation here. How many carbon dioxide needed, how many water molecules are needed to produce one glucose molecule in a dark reaction, that is your work. This is very important in an annual examination to write, that is why I am given you to make a balance for this equation. Next, I am given here a different organisms, plant, a goat, a lion and leech. Here it is a fungus, mushroom, well known example, and the bacteria and euglena. Now you have to group them according to their nutrition type. In this I have given heterotrophs, saprophytes, parasites. So you have to identify them and you have to group them based on their nutrition type. Next, the match the following. If you see column A, here I am given A autotrophs, B heterotrophs, and C carnivores, and D saprophytes, and here parasites. In column B, first one is tiger, second one is mushroom, third one is leech, fourth one is a green plant, and fifth one is an animal. You have to match which are belongs to autotroph, which are belongs to heterotroph. That is your work. It is very easy for you. Next, what is the mode of nutrition in plants? Already you know, and you have to answer for this for practice. When does photosynthesis take place? This is very logic question. What is the importance of photosynthesis? After completing of photosynthesis process, the end products are glucose and oxygen. I already told you, food is prepared in plants. All organisms are depends on plants for food. I will explain, otherwise I will conclude this statement with a small example. Take a grasshopper which eat grass, and that grasshopper again eaten by frog eaten by snake. Now if you take this sequence, it is called a food chain. If you take multiple food chains, at last the main thing point comes to the plant product. Primary producer is plant, next it is eaten by herbivores, next it is taken by carnivores. That is why if photosynthesis process is not there, we cannot expect the organism on a biosphere. Another end product is oxygen. When oxygen is not released outside, just imagine the life of human or any animal on the earth. So we cannot imagine without oxygen. That is why the photosynthesis is very important thing, and also metabolic activity. Now let us see, otherwise let us do the activity, the presence of starch in a leaf. Now let us see the required material for the starch test. What are the required materials? Iodine, test tube, water in a beaker, methylated spirit, test tube handler, watch glass, Bunsen burner. Instead of Bunsen burner, we can use a stove or induction stove. So these are the required material for the starch test. Now let us see the procedure. First, we have to take test tube and we have to take methylated spirit and pour into the test tube, half of the test tube, not fully in a test tube. Next, take the help of forceps, take the leaf which is you are extracted from tree, insert slowly into the test tube and arrange the test tube in a beaker as shown in a figure. Now, with the help of test tube handler, keep the test tube in beaker which contain water and set up total equipment as shown in a figure. Heat for few minutes. After few minutes, take the test tube outside and slowly remove the leaf with the help of forceps. Put it on a petri dish and drop the iodine on a leaf. When you are keeping the leaf in a petri dish or in a watch glass, we have to open the leaf widely. Why? Because when you are inserting the leaf inside the test tube, it is folded. When you are opening the leaf, we have to wide the leaf, then only the iodine spread nicely on a leaf. After adding the iodine, the leaf converts into darkish blue or blackish blue. This is the main indication the presence of starch in a leaf. Now, let us see the precaution to be taken during the experiment. What are the precautions we have to take? Wear the safety goggles. Next point, keep the ethanol away from the Bunsen burner as ethanol is flammable. Sometimes what happens when you are taking full of ethanol in a test tube, when you are keeping nearby the flame or Bunsen burner, it may catch the fire. It is very harmful to us. So, that is why we have to maintain distance of test tube from the Bunsen burner. Next, when you are taking the test tube from the boiling water, we have to use the test tube holder. Why? Because the hot vapor can damage our tissue also. So, these are the precaution must and should we have to take while performing the experiment. So, now let us see what we learned today, the important points. First is the process of providing and obtaining food material for the growth and health, that is called nutrition. Next, preparing of food material by own, we call it as a autotrophs, and the type of nutrition we are called autotrophic nutrition, and the examples are for plants. And the organism depend on other organism for food, we are calling heterotrophs. This type of nutrition we are called heterotrophic nutrition. Next point, by trapping solar energy, by taking simpler molecule like light and carbon dioxide, plant converts it into complex molecule like glucose. In this process, oxygen is released. This process is called photosynthesis. What are the factors? Light, carbon dioxide, water and chlorophyll. The end products are starch and oxygen. Now, children, see this video. Here the plants absorbing sunlight and doing photosynthesis. Students, now the next question is, photosynthesis is basic and important process for all organism. Why? Because the end products of photosynthesis is glucose and oxygen. When the glucose is prepared in the plant body, that is becomes starch and proteins and fats. The all heterotrophs which are depends on plant as a food source, they will take all this glucose and fats and proteins for their growth and development. And the next important thing is the oxygen is released in this process. Oxygen is very important gas which oxidizes the food material and useful in yielding energy. When oxygen is not present, there is no scope of energy in an organism. When energy is not present, the organisms cannot carry their lives. So, that is why the photosynthesis is very important process among all the metabolic activities. So, after learning all this, I think you understood the total points of nutrition types, food habits of different organisms and the presence of starch in a leaf. Let us discuss in a group. First point, why are you thinking that photosynthesis is important? That you have to write and discuss in a group. Next, all are thinking that photosynthesis occur in a green plants. my question is, do colored leaves perform photosynthesis? For this, children, let us see this video. This plant having different colors, see, green and red and combining with the red and green. So, these leaves can perform photosynthesis or not, that you have to think and answer it. Why? Because some are having green leaves, some are having brown, yellow, different types of leaves we are observing in a ecosystem or in environment. So, photosynthesis can occur in green plants, either in all different color plants. So, do colored leaves perform photosynthesis? That you have to discuss in your group discussion and write the answer. Next question is, why we use methylated spirit in starch test? That is why I am not discussed about methylated spirit in the performing the experiment, that you have to answer why the methylated spirit is very useful in starch test. Student, I hope you understand the total lesson. Let us do some activity for better understanding. See here, students, I am given some work for you. Here the different food chains are there, and I left some fill in the blanks. You have to fill it by taking example nearby the worksheet. First one, plant and herbivores, and next carnivore. You have to fill it by taking any example of carnivore by seeing the carnivore. Next, plant is blank, now herbivore, and next carnivore, it is a bird, and next plant, herbivore. Now here you have to write the omnivore which is suitable for this food chain, and next plant, herbivore, and next here carnivore, it is a cat. So, based on that this carnivore, you have to fill it in the blank by taking a suitable example here. So, complete all these food chains. By this you make understand photosynthesis is important. Please visit SCRT website and download worksheet of this lesson. Practice them for better understanding of the lesson. Thank you.